Hello, and welcome to What Are We Truly Passionate About? A podcast about navigating the messy, magical middles of your 20s. I'm Marieme, and each week we're getting honest about the transitions, the pivots, and all the passions we're still figuring out. Whether you're chasing a dream or just trying to make it make sense, you're not alone. Let's get into it. Earlier this week, while I was at lunch with a friend, I was asked, what did you do within your last 100 days? Or what did it look like? But when you're looking at the last 100 days, don't include your vacations or super spontaneous one-off things. Think about what those last 100 days typically look like. So if I'm being a realist and I'm looking at my last 100 days, they were kind of weird, right? Because I'm transitioning out of a previous role, trying to figure out what I want my new roles to look like. And within that, I'm kind of stuck in this gray area, right? I'm filling my days with who knows what, but they're kind of all looking muddled together. I don't feel like there's anything super special about any of the days that I'm going through right now where I'm like, I'm obsessed with everything that I'm doing. And you know what? To some people that is okay, but to me that feels really stagnant and I don't want to be there. So trying to reflect on that, I'm like, okay, well, what made me really happy within those last 100 days? And one of the big things was my vacations, right? I loved all the trips that I was capable of taking within these days. I just got back from New York, so I'm still kind of feeling that high creativity, obsessed with it. And now I'm kind of in that like sad come down because I'm like, I don't really have anything I'm looking forward to. There's no spice in my life right now. And it's simply because I'm kind of just in this weird, I'm stuck feeling, right? Like I feel like there's so many different directions that I can possibly go in, but I just don't know what fits me the most. And you know what? This is something I could have foreshadowed for a really long time. Like I'm talking year 2013, sitting in my social studies class, and this is probably the first memorable time I was ever asked, what do you want to be when you get older and how do you plan on getting there? Yeah, so I've never thought about that. Like, what do you mean? Last week I said I wanted to be a U.S. Marshal, for God's sakes. And it was literally because I heard they got to sit on random one-off flights to protect people. So there's always supposedly a U.S. Marshal on planes, right? Cool. Seems like a fun job. Realizing that is quickly not for me. The next thing that I went to that seemed very rational as a 7th grader was, I think I should be a news anchor. I feel like when I said that, like the whole class busted into laughter. Like that seemed so far-fetched. And you know what? I don't get it because I genuinely am the same exact person that I am today. Like I literally am just as big of a chatterbug, probably was more so then. And everyone was like, what? That's crazy. And you know what's even funnier looking back at that situation? The next part of the question was, well, how do you plan on getting there? And I was like, you know what? Like, that seems very reasonable. You know what? Right now, I should probably start a blog, get my words out there, which I did. I did actually run a blog, and I took it super, super serious for the 3 weeks that I did it. But you bet your bottom dollar, I was out there teaching people who knows what. Honestly, so much lore in my background. The next part of it was creating a YouTube channel. And I was like, yeah, that seems like really good because people will get used to seeing my face in video platform. And then on top of that, I will be able to learn how to talk to an audience. Yeah, so I did that for a little. My YouTube career did last longer than I let on, but all of that is like hidden and privated at this point because I'm like, oh my God, that's super embarrassing. But you know what? I loved how I wasn't embarrassed by that. Like I literally showed zero shame. To me, it didn't matter then. Versus now, and like as I kept aging, I felt like I started putting myself in these boxes. I think I have so many passions all over the place, and now I have to niche down because I felt like that was the right thing to do, right? So like after I transitioned out of that, like, you know what, maybe I won't be in the digital content creation space. Maybe I just won't be someone that is a known figure, but I know I want to help people. Then that kind of takes me to high school wanting to go the business route, maybe marketing, cybersecurity, and then I was like, you know what, like, no, like that seems really overwhelming. Stunting myself, putting myself in another box. You know what? Maybe you should be a teacher. So junior year, I transitioned to that thought. At the time, it was super fitting, and I still think that was the best route that I could have taken at that time and like what I thought of myself, you know? But post high school into college life, I quickly realized that I didn't want to be a teacher, right? Like, I knew I was going to end up living my biggest fear because I was putting myself in a box that I kind of felt like took away from my creativity and didn't really allow me to be the best version of myself, because I think a lot of people have this idea of what educators are. And if you slowly fall out of that mold, you're an issue. And also the expectations that teachers have today are just really insane for what they're given. It's just kind of how I was looking at it, and who knows, you know what? Because I was just the Gen Zer who didn't want to work and complained. But I genuinely was in a position where I was working more than I honestly probably let on. My first year of teaching was super draining because all I did was work. I mean, I got home 4 o'clock, 4:30 rolled around, I'm back on my computer, I'm planning, I am messaging parents, I am already trying to get my slides done constantly. It was honestly pretty toxic. And I still felt like I was in this bubble. Like, I would go to work and I was this one person. Then I went home, I was this other person. Then I'm trying to socialize with this group of people, I'm another person. Like, I genuinely always felt like I was getting pulled in so many different directions. It was actually insane. I think entering my second year of teaching, I knew very quickly, you know what? Hey girlfriend, this is all or nothing. Either you are committed to this and you follow that path, right? Like, you do what you're supposed to do. You go back to school, you get your master's in something related into education, and you climb up the totem pole that you made up for yourself. Second option, you say screw everything, quit your job, and reestablish who you really want to be. Guess which option I went down? And I really, honest to God, hope you realize it was option 2, because like, I'm literally doing a podcast, for God's sakes. But that's the thing, like, I feel like I was put in a position where here's all of my cards. I'm going to lay them out and bet on myself for once. Like, I feel like I was so tired of constantly trying to like almost minimize myself in the things that I feel like I'm capable of doing because I felt like it was safe. If anything, I get mad at myself for doing that and not pushing myself to really discover who I am, because here we are, 24, and I'm like, who is Marieme? Like, I literally feel like I am playing Where's Waldo, but instead it's Where's Marieme, finding Marieme, who does she need to be? And I don't know, I'm okay with that. Like, it's definitely really scary and daunting, don't get me wrong. And I think my biggest issue is sometimes I see myself in so many different areas because I do have a lot of passions, right? But also, do I have a lot of passions because they're trendy and people have told me that these are things that I'll ideally love? Or do I actually care about them the way that I have made it out to be? Being someone who is so all or nothing, it's almost polarizing because I feel like I have to be fully committed to this world and then nothing else can come into that. And then it gets really overwhelming because I'm like, wait, but I love all these pieces of me. So right now I'm trying to rediscover myself, and this feels like a personal journal where we're able to like reflect on everything that we've done and see what really makes me, and you. And I kind of hope that this becomes like a conversation piece for that. So a couple weeks ago, I watched this movie on Netflix. It's called The Lifeless. You should watch it if you're into cheesy little movies, whatever. That's not the real big point of it. There's one specific part in the movie, though, that has really resonated with me and has almost helped me reframe the way that I'm viewing life right now. Basically, the mom in the movie is talking to the daughter and is saying, if this specific thing did not happen that I thought was life-altering, horrible, it wouldn't have put me in the position to pivot into something really good. And that's how I'm looking at things right now. So like I said, in the beginning, I was listing on things that I was like, oh, I'm just feeling really overwhelmed, stressed, things aren't necessarily going my way. But what does that really mean? Like, maybe this is what I need it to be. Maybe I do need to pivot in a different direction and try different things, even if I'm reflecting on my vision boards. In the beginning of the year, me and my best friends always make a vision board to set our intentions for the year, goals, whatever, random things that we're manifesting. Last year, I made one. And by the end of the year, a lot of the images that I put on there, I was able to reframe into a new perspective of what I thought my year looked like. And when I was writing my reflection, I was like, you know what? This was not what I pictured, but it ended up being what I needed. And I was able to take what resonated with me the most, and I felt like I applied it to my day-to-day, right? Because by the end of the year, I want to accomplish these things. Thinking of the vision board I made at the beginning of the year, I had a very different mindset. Honestly, I fear I was, I was going to say I was less delusional than I am today, but I definitely think I'm a little bit more delusional because you have to be, right? Like, if you put yourself in a sink or swim situation, you got to swim, so therefore you got to be a little bit delusional, okay? Like, I'm treading right now. Kind of going back to that, there's a lot of things that I put on here, and I was looking at them in one light. One of the examples could be I put some imagery of New York and was just thinking about how I really want to travel, and that could be a really fun place to go. I haven't been in a couple years, but I don't have any plans of it. That's just kind of my representation of I want to be able to travel and maybe look at it as that's going to be my push. It just seemed aesthetic. Plot twist. Really randomly, the trip fell in my lap and I was just there, right? And within that trip, I felt like I was almost able to rediscover what I'm looking for right now and kind of where I see myself pivoting to in the next year, which is really exciting. But again, that wouldn't have happened if I stuck to this niche thing of I only want it to be this specific thing. Like, I feel like it all goes back to the constantly being in a box. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why we have to almost minimize ourselves so that we fit into this society, right? Like, I don't want to have the same job for the rest of my life. I don't want to feel like I'm living the same 100 days on repeat. I want to constantly feel like there's new and exciting things going on, but I also still do crave that stability, but I also think it can be done in a different way than we've been exposed to before. And so trying to find a healthy balance of that, right? And it all comes down to figuring out, what am I truly passionate about? I think there's tons of things I could say that I was passionate about. Like I said before, I find myself constantly debating, do I really care about these things for myself, or did I care about them because of others around me? And so this year, I'm really trying to challenge myself to figure out what I really care about, because I think it's going to be really beneficial for the trajectory of my future. I really, really struggle with viewing things long term. But if I'm capable of figuring out what I truly care about versus what I don't, I think I'm going to find a pretty happy place in the middle. Already talking about that, it is really scary thinking that your career is one thing and then literally 2 years in, you're already walking out of that. And okay, well, what path do I take now? There's so many endless options. But I will say, I had tons of positive experiences from that, but even the negative ones, I truly have learned what I do and don't love about a working environment. And so that has truly helped. I'm never going to take that away from my experience, because at the end of the day, I'm so thankful that I was able to learn, that's just not the place for me. Even though, yes, I thought it did align with what I was truly passionate about, right? I care so much about giving back. I love kids, yada, yada. But it wasn't. I felt like I was only doing that because I felt like that was the right thing to do for others. At the end of the day, you can continuously fall in the cycle of chasing after things that you think others will perceive as good, but it's not going to feel amazing. That's something I just had to realize, a million times over, if I had the same decision to transition out of the world that I was once in to rediscover who I truly want to be, I would do it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It definitely, like I said, is really scary. but I have a lot of hope in myself. And at the end of the day, like, I genuinely think I'm the coolest person I know. That's just kind of how I take life and navigate through things. I don't know. Like, I'm just hoping that this can be a fun space where we can kind of talk and keep evolving. Because at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is to continuously evolve, and I want to always be able to experience new things without feeling like I am jeopardizing other things that I care about. And I also want to be in a space where all my worlds can come together and not feel like they have to be so compartmentalized, because, again, something I was explaining in the beginning, as a teacher, all my lives felt so compartmentalized because I was the youngest person in the building that I worked in, and I felt like kind of like a child in weird ways. And then to the whole other side of the world, I could be the most responsible person that someone knew. And I was legit. I had my life together, and I constantly felt like I was being pulled in so many different directions. I literally felt insane all the time. And so I'm really excited to be able to try something new. It's a little bit scary when I'm going back reflecting. I have always been called out for this. I will get super, super fixated on this idea of something that I am super obsessed with. I won't be able to stop talking about them. I'm thinking about them all the time. And sometimes I jump into them full force really quickly. Prime example, here we are. Someone told me earlier this week I should start a podcast. And unfortunately, I did. I thought about it for longer than 20 minutes, and I thought it was fitting. Going back to becoming a bar instructor, I was honestly just kind of like figuring out what I wanted to transition to. And one day someone walked up to me and was like, "Oh my God, you love those classes. Have you ever thought about teaching?" No, but sounds like a good idea. Literally went home, did like one Google search, and was like, seems about fitting. Next day, started the program. I literally, kid you not, I have to be like super impulsive right away onto something because I feel like that's when I'm the most motivated. But the issue is I don't really care about certain things. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm truly happy that some things have entered my life. Other things, on the other hand, I'm like, please spare me. Why did you do that? Another one. I was on the phone with my sister. This was when I was a sophomore in college. I was on the phone with my sister right before going back to school that year, and she was talking to someone and basically explained how, oh yeah, my sister is like super creative. She's really good at a lot of random things, and honestly, if she could set her mind to one thing, she'd be great. And I was like, that was kind of shady. But like, let me show you I can lock it. That night, I stayed up until like 2 a.m. I go to bed early, mind you, so 2's really late for me. But I stayed up, managed, and created a whole clay business. Created a business model for it, thought of what I wanted to do. Next day, go to Michael's, buy everything. Start creating these little charms, 0 test run, nothing, instantly selling them. And I was like, this is such a lucrative business. I was a genius. Do it for 3 weeks, give up. Because it wasn't something I cared about. Like, there was no way I was about to start letting this silly little business conflict my social life day to day, but I honestly didn't really truly care about it. And I think that's my biggest fatal flaw. I can do a lot of things. I can set my mind to a lot of things, but if I don't care about it, I don't want to do it. And I fear we live in a world where sometimes you do have to suck it up and just do things you don't like. But I don't want to be that person. I've never been that person. My parents say that all the time about me. No one's going to catch me doing things that I don't want to do. So why am I putting myself in all these boxes? I don't know. And so now that's all I'm thinking about nonstop all day, I really want to be able to reframe my day-to-day and really figure out who I am. You know, I'm in my mid-20s now, which feels really insane to say. But I also realize I still have so much more life to live. So why wouldn't I utilize this time to figure out what I'm truly passionate about? So hopefully this can be a journey that we ride together. I have tons of new different ideas for each of the episodes to come. And again, thank you for listening to my first episode ever. Love you guys forever and always. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.